Good morning. My name is Veronica Powers. I am a BCBA and I work with Wareham Public School District on a CPPI grant initiative. And this recording is funded through that CPPI grant. And today we'll talk about visuals at home. Generally, what the visuals are and what is their purpose. Visuals are really a cues, a prompts that we use for our children, but also things that we use for ourselves. They provide additional support. They help us to remember things, to remember how to respond, remember what our expectation of our workplace or school, expectations from our family members. Overall, the goal of visuals is for child to understand what you expect from them, how they're supposed to act, what they're supposed to do. They also support difficult moments. So when the child has to process some difficult emotions, sometimes it's very hard to process what the adult is saying to a child by that child, and it's very difficult to actually self-regulate, which I talk about self-regulation in my previous video. So visuals are those additional tools. Then they take that pressure off verbal processing, and it can help really through the difficult moments. It's sometimes it's just easier to focus on a simple visual than a lot of words coming your way. Visuals also are often in place not only in homes but a lot of in schools, daycare centers, but in homes specifically, they can help with independence and self-help skills when you teaching some of those skills to your child, because it gives a very clear routine, a very clear expectation what the child is learning. They also help to navigate unfamiliar and challenging environments and situations. So those kind of visuals are typically done before big outings or big events, so you can prepare your child for unknown events, unknown situations, and practice some of the skills with the help of the visuals, so they feel more confident and they know how to ask for help, how to respond. Does everyone need visuals? Yes, we all need some sort of visuals. One way we add or other, we all use some sort of visuals. I have an example here of a visual, and this is a visual how to make I think cookies. Yes, there's brown sugar, semi-sweet chocolate chips, flour. So how to make chocolate chip cookies. So all of us use some sort of visuals, but the visuals for children are clearly more for their level. So they use more bright colors, they're more simplified, and as we age they become more of a natural thing in our life, such as recipes, such as our schedules and calendars, but we all use some sort of visual at all times. So criteria for effective visuals. So for visuals, you have to have a couple different things that you need to make sure you maintain when you create visuals. The first one is durability. So you want to make sure that your visual that you're using at your home will withstand being thrown or getting wet. And things get damaged, especially when they're used frequently, and that's probably a good thing. That means that the visuals are really working for your child, and you might have to replace them more often. But typically, you aim with your visuals for lasting longer than just a couple days. You also want to make sure that your visuals have some sort of portability. So often the visuals are presented in one spot, they're stationary, maybe they're on a fridge or on by exit door or in child's bedroom. So they just live on a wall and you can refer to them. But often we also allow our children to work with our visuals. And we do that a lot in schools, but you can definitely do some of that stuff when you at home as well, especially with things like social stories. So the child can carry that visual. It's in their packet or in their on them, and then refer to it if needed. Sometimes parents worry about the portability of visuals, worrying about that the child will destroy them or lose them. So then that portability will stay with the parent, that you have that visual in your on you, in your pocket, in your backpack, on your purse, in your car. So you have to answer yourself those questions, like does the visual I'm using is needed to be portable, or can we just leave it at home on the fridge? Is that enough? Another criteria for effective visual is clarity. So clarity means like how well your child understands what you're trying to relay through the visual. And the best way of doing it is sometimes just testing with your child and see if they're responding, if they're comprehending what you're trying to show them. Often you want to use bright colors to draw attention, especially for first-time visuals. Later on you can ease up on it, but initially you want to really get their attention. You want to also choose clear icons, so you don't want to choose anything blurry, so it's very clear what they're looking at. You want to use appropriate size, so for smaller children, those visuals will be bigger, a little bit bigger. As the child ages, they can get smaller, where they can focus on multiple visuals on one page. But typically with younger children, you want to limit amount of how many visuals are there, so this is more clear, and they're big enough for kid to get that attention. So you need to answer yourself, is my child at this age that can understand a single concept or multiple concepts? So what do I want to represent through that visual? With this younger children, of course, we always aim for a single concept, because that's a developing skill, and you want the child to really have a good success before you provide something more complex. If you require from your child some sort of response, then you need to practice that response. So you need to show the child the visual. You need to explain what response is required. You may have to show them, model to them how that response looks like, so they know how to respond when you show them the visual. It won't just happen via showing the visual. You really have to practice that. When you create visuals, you want to make sure that they're age appropriate. So with the younger children, you want to often include characters or themes from their favorite movie or from their favorite cartoon, and that will really get their attention, so then you can get that momentum with them. And the next thing, it's a response effort. So you want to consider how easy is the visual to use. You typically, with the first-time learners, you want to make sure that the visual is very easy to use, very easy to go to. If it's not easy enough, then the child would lose the interest. The child would lose reinforcement related to it, and it might even become aversive in the future. So you want to make it easy enough so they can really have a good experience with that visual. Also, working with younger children, you want to ask yourself, does my child have a motor skills to manipulate the visual? So is it easier to have one-page visual, or can I have a flip book that I can look into, that the child can flip through the pages? The bottom line with the visuals is not just presenting them to a child, it's practicing them and going over them, so the child really have a good understanding. Where can you get visuals? So a very easy way is just using Google Images or photos from your phone. If you have access to computer and printer, one of the good thing is with the visuals, when you use the photos from your phone, you can use photos of your own child, so they can see themselves doing certain activities or certain expectation that you're trying to teach them. If you do not have a printer, you can draw some simple visuals and by using hand markers, and that is also appropriate. The bottom line is you want to make them durable, so you want to laminate them if possible, if you have a laminator at home. There are very cheap laminators on Amazon you can buy that they are very durable and they will last you years. But if you unable to do that, the old-fashioned contact paper, the clear one, works very, very well. And those visuals last very, very long time. I use it myself often too. If you can't make them, if you don't have access to a printer, if you need help, please ask your support team, your teachers, your speech and language, your BCBA, someone like me, at your school and daycare. We are happy to help and make visuals for you anytime. I'm going to talk about some common visuals at home. So this is a list of different common visuals, such as chore lists, reward charts, cleaning steps, coping skills, choice boards, communication boards, visual schedules, first and then boards, turn-taking boards, play boards, and sentence strips. One thing I didn't add it here, but it's a really good visual, is social stories. And social stories are basically a small type of books where there's a concept to a child presented, and it could be concept of kindness, it could be concept of how to ride a bus or how to ask for help. And within that concept, there are little stories within it. I'm just trying to grab one to show you how it looks like. That represent what the concept is about, so the child can understand. And it's typically in the form of book. So this one's, for example, for whole body listening, and it's just a simple storybook that tells the child what the active listening means, and it's several pages of that kind of book, and explain the concept, so you can go over and over with the child about this concept. So that's a social story. But I will show you a couple different examples of other common visuals at home. So this is a chore list. That's the first example. So it also depends on how old is a child. This is just an example of it, but it shows you what needs to happen with the icon representing it, so the child can check off those lists. So you have to make a bed, then you're going to use the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, and so on and so forth. With those chore lists or even schedules, you can make them into morning jobs, evening jobs. You can make them just weekends, Monday chores. So you can be very creative with it, depending what you're trying to teach your child. The next visual is a reward chart. So a reward chart typically looks as this one, and it just represents what the child is working for. I put it star, but you can say I'm working for a snack, or I'm working for ice cream, I'm working for going to water park. So whatever is that the child is working for, and a specific expectation go with it. So you might need a second visual saying what they need to complete. Maybe it's a chore that they need to complete all their chores, or maybe they need to listen to the social story. When they complete this, they can get like a check off, or they can get a little star token on those boxes. And then once they accomplish it and they get all of their stars, that they can choose their reward. And it really, those token boards, those reward charts, it really depends on child's age. With the younger children, we do it more in a moment for that day. We don't extend over multiple days. As they age, then we can extend them over multiple days, the earning time. And often we start with 2-3 tokens to earn, and then we expand to 5, maybe 6 maximum tokens to earn. So the turnaround is pretty quick for those reward charts. For another is my room checklist. So this is like more specific to a bedroom maintenance, but it's not only make a bed, but it's what else you do within your room. So in this example, you put your toys away, then you make your bed and you put your shoes away, and you can check this off. But it can be even broken down to smaller steps. So for example, you just want to focus on toys, so then you will make more of a specific list for toys, such as put your teddy bears on a shelf and put your blocks in a box and put them under the bed. So you make it very, very specific to what exactly you want them to do. And some of the children do require those more steps because they're learning those concepts. So for some children, just saying put toys away is not enough. You need to specify what toys, where, and when. Another visual is coping skills guides. So this is a simple one about being angry, and it says when I'm angry, what I can do. So in this situation, this child can take a deep breath, this child can count, and this child can read. With the younger children, you want to limit the choices because it can be overwhelming to have 10, 15 choices. What can you do when you're angry? As they age, then they can pick from more choices. But when they're younger, 3 choices are good, and then you can rotate them. So if the counting doesn't work anymore, you can switch it with taking a sip of water or taking a walk, something different. Another example is choice boards. So this is a choice board for a child who might get escalated or might not communicate their needs very well or struggling with asking for things. So then you can provide a choice board and say, you ask, so then for water, you ask for drink, then you get a drink. And then what's your choice? Do you want a drink or you don't? Or you can add even other choices such as drink, snack, nap. So there are like 3 choices. What do you want? What do you need? Another is visual schedule. That's very similar to actually the chore and maintenance. It just shows like the evening schedule. So what is supposed to be completed before the child goes to bed. So you take a bath, you brush your teeth, then we read the book, and it's good night. So it's very clear expectation. And what you can do if the child struggles with that night routine, you just check it off, or you take those using marker, on this visual, or if it's an icon that is attached by Velcro to a page, then you can remove it. No, and then you say we've done the bath. Now it's time for brushing teeth. That's done. So what's next? It's reading a book, and after that, good night. You're going to sleep. So it's basically it's a really good redirection tool that what has been already completed, and we're not going back to reading a book because for example, we already finished that, so now it's time for bed. So it gives a really good structure and redirection. Another example of visuals is first and then board. So this is, I use that one a lot, first and then, especially with younger children. Within that visual, it gives opportunity for child to be heard and not dismissed. You give them a timeline of events. You give them in a sense of a time for a break, a time for a reward. It's very clear and it's simple, and it works really miracles. I use it often as a visual, but I also use it verbally. So say first brush your teeth, then book time. But when you have visuals like here, you can just say first book time, first we will read, then bubbles. So it's very clear for a child. Children really respond to that visual very well. As the child getting older, you can incorporate sentence strips, so it helps the child to build the language, and this in the full sentences, right? So you don't just so you expand on that on those language skills. And this sentence strip, there are 3 different examples, and you have visuals and you have a word, and you point to each of the visual and use the word, and then you teach the child to basically through modeling, to follow the timeline, the sentence strips, so then they can read back to you with those visuals, and eventually those visuals will be faded as they learn read and write. So storage cost and when to remove visuals. Overall, you want to keep your visuals accessible at all times, so it's easy to pick them and use them. If you use them at the specific time of the day, then it's a little bit easier to pull them and say, oh, it's time for the nighttime routine, I'm going to get my visuals. But if you use them for de-escalation or communication with your child, learning that language skills and or that functional communication where they can tell you what they need, what they want, then you want to have those visuals very easily accessible, because you might need them in the moment, that it's spontaneous and unexpected, so you can just use it right there and reinforce those new skills. Once the child learns the skill, and they can show you even sometimes before you use the visual, you just say a word and you don't even have to pull the visuals, then that basically means that they learning, right? That they remember the skill, they remember what it's expected. So that's when you can start removing slowly the visuals or changing them, because that means that the child right now has this skills generalized and they can use in different settings. So that's basically all the information I have about visuals. If you have any question, this is my email, so please feel to reach out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.